What's up, fuckers? Ready for another deep dive? This time we're going balls deep into J.D. Vance's Hillbilly Elegy.
Ah, yes.
This shit blew up back in 2016, and everyone and their mama had an opinion on it. Whether they loved it or hated it or just wanted to use it to figure out why the hell America went full batshit crazy and elected Trump. We're going to rip this book a new asshole and see what makes it tick. So grab a drink and get ready for some serious bullshit detecting.
Buckle up.
You got that right.
Right.
So, Middletown, Ohio, that's where Vance sets this whole thing, but his family's not even from there, right?
That's right.
It's like trying to understand the Kardashians by watching a documentary about a trailer park in Alabama.
Well, not totally wrong. Middletown, Ohio, it's a struggling town.
Yeah.
Kind of poster child for what happens when industries pack up and leave America's heartland, looking like a deserted Walmart parking lot on a Tuesday afternoon.
Sad.
Vance's family, though, they're originally from Brehett County, Kentucky, deep in Appalachian.
Oh, okay, so even deeper in the shit.
Yeah, you've got this extra layer of cultural disconnect, like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
So basically, they're fish out of water, trying to hold on to their hillbilly roots.
Yeah.
While living in a place that's changing faster than a stripper's clothes on amateur night.
Right.
And let's be real, the Vance family themselves sound like they could star in their own episode of Jerry Springer.
That's one way to put it.
Alcoholism, drug addiction,
Domestic violence.
the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. Vance doesn't sugarcoat it. He paints a picture of his childhood that's bleaker than a coal miner's lungs.
Jesus. Sounds delightful.
Not exactly a walk in the park.
But wait, wasn't there a grandma in all of this? Mama or something?
Mama!
Yeah.
Yeah, mama!
She's like, the Clint Eastwood of grandmas, laying down the law and doling out tough love like it's candy.
She's a force of nature, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely a central character. A stabilizing force in Vance's life.
Okay.
Tries to instill some discipline and resilience in young J.D. amidst all the chaos.
So it's not all doom and gloom. There's a glimmer of hope in this shitstorm.
There is, but Vance also spends a lot of time grappling with this tension between, you know, this kind of romanticized idea of Appalachian values.
Right.
Loyalty, patriotism, strong family ties, that kind of thing. And then the harsh realities of the life he actually lived.
So let me get this straight. He's basically saying that these supposed Appalachian values might actually be part of the problem.
Yeah, he kind of is. He argues that those values, while they can be admirable, they can also be a barrier to progress, making people resistant to change.
Right.
And ultimately trapped in this cycle of poverty and dysfunction.
It's like they're living in a museum of American history while the rest of the world is, I don't know, building spaceships and shit.
Yeah.
And this leads us to some of the more, let's say, controversial parts of Hillbilly Elegy, right?
Definitely.
The stuff that really got people's panties in a twist.
Yeah.
I mean, Vance loves to throw in these little anecdotes that make you just scratch your head and go, is this dude for real?
I know what you mean.
You know, like that whole thing with the lady on welfare who's rocking the latest iPhone, or the coworker who'd rather sit on his ass watching reruns of Maury than actually, you know, show up for work.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Those are some of the stories that made critics accuse Vance of being, how did they put it?
Poverty tourist.
Poverty tourist.
Yeah.
Exploiting his family's struggles for fame and a fat paycheck.
Well, Vance uses those anecdotes to make a point, doesn't he?
He does.
He's trying to show how he sees, like, this decline in the work ethic in Appalachia.
Right.
Like, people would rather bitch about the system
Yeah.
than actually try to do something to improve their lives.
You're right. He's suggesting there's this disconnect between the traditional values of hard work and self-reliance that he associates with Appalachia and the reality of people just taking advantage of the system.
Right. And that, according to Vance, explains why Appalachia went from blue to red faster than a chameleon on a Skittles bag. Okay, so we've got this backdrop of economic devastation, cultural clashes, and a political landscape that's shifting faster than a squirrel on crack. But let's not pretend that everyone was throwing roses at J.D. Vance when Hillbilly Elegy dropped.
No.
This book pissed off a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. It ignited a firestorm of criticism.
People were accusing him of generalizing about a whole region based on, you know, his own limited experience.
Right.
Like he was some kind of anthropological expert because his mama liked moonshine and his uncle stole a lawnmower.
Yeah, like saying, I ate a bad taco once, so all Mexican food must be shit.
Exactly.
Critics felt that he romanticized poverty, ignored systemic issues, like racism,
Yeah.
lack of opportunity, and just put way too much blame on individual failings rather than acknowledging the bigger structural forces at play.
So basically, they thought he was full of shit and just wanted to make a buck off of other people's misery.
Pretty much.
There was even a whole book published as a response to Hillbilly Elegy,
There was Appalachian Reckoning.
with essays from people who felt like Vance had totally misrepresented them.
Right. They argued that he was peddling harmful stereotypes, offering a distorted view of a complex region and its people.
So Vance throws this literary grenade into the cultural landscape, and then bam, the 2016 election happens.
Right.
And suddenly everyone's losing their minds trying to understand why in the hell America decided to elect a reality TV star as their president.
Yeah.
And suddenly, Hillbilly Elegy becomes the go-to guide for explaining Trump's rise.
It did. People were using it as a way to, I guess, decode the white working class,
Okay.
especially in places like Appalachia, and understand why they flocked to Trump's message like moths to a dumpster fire.
All right.
Right.
Even though Vance himself started out as a Trump critic.
He did.
Didn't he call him reprehensible or something like that?
Yes,
Yeah.
he did. But here's where things get really interesting.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold your horses. We'll get to that juicy shit in the next part. Got to keep them coming back for more, right? Cliffhangers, baby. Cliffhangers.
You're a master of suspense.
You bet your ass I am. So until next time, you beautiful degenerates, keep your mind sharp and your drinks strong. We'll be back to dissect the rest of this Hillbilly Elegy mess and see how J.D. Vance went from Trump critic to, well, Trump's BFF.
It's a wild ride.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, you degenerates, back for more. Good, because shit's about to get real. Last time we left off with J.D. Vance calling Trump a total asshat, right? And then, surprise, surprise, he ends up sucking up to the Donald and becoming his right-hand man.
Yeah.
What the fuck happened? Did you get brainwashed by some magi cult or something?
I mean, it is a head-scratcher, but Vance claims he's always cared about the same issues, like, the working class getting screwed,
Right.
factories shutting down like strip clubs on a Sunday morning,
Right.
the opioid crisis turning entire communities into, zombie towns, that kind of thing.
So his heart's in the right place, but he thinks Trump's the answer. That's like saying a Band-Aid will fix a broken leg.
Well, he argues that Trump, despite being a total dumpster fire of a human being, was the only one who was actually trying to help these forgotten folks.
By helping, you mean slapping tariffs on China like a drunk toddler playing whack-a-mole
Yeah.
and promising to bring back coal jobs like it's fucking 1950.
Yeah, those are some of his big promises for sure.
Let's be real, coal's about as dead as disco.
Right.
And those tariffs just fucked over the average Joe trying to buy a goddamn toaster.
True, but Vance claims that Trump at least acknowledged these people's pain,
Yeah.
gave them a voice when they felt ignored by the bigwigs in Washington.
Yeah, I get it. People are hurting, and they want someone to blame, someone to fight for them. And Trump, with this whole Make America Great Again bullshit, well, he tapped into that anger like a goddamn energy vampire.
Yeah. And there's also that cultural element. They feel like their traditional values are under attack.
Okay.
Like someone's trying to replace apple pie with Brussels sprouts,
Yeah, those Hillbilly Elegy values we talked about.
Exactly.
Loyalty, patriotism, hard work, the things that Vance both praised and kind of questioned at the same time. Like, he's trying to have his cake and eat it too.
Yeah, exactly. And Trump, with his drain the swamp and America First crap, well, it appealed to those who felt screwed by, globalization and all the changes that were happening.
It's like their world is getting turned upside down, and they're just clinging to whatever they can.
Exactly. And Vance tapped into that same sentiment in his book. Remember those stories about the welfare queen with the iPhone and the lazy coworker?
Oh, yeah. The ones that got him accused of being a poverty tourist, profiting off his own family's drama. It's like filming your grandma's meth addiction and selling it to Netflix.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
or wrong. Those stories resonated with people who felt like the system was rigged,
Yeah.
that the government was just giving handouts to those who didn't deserve it.
So Vance writes this book. It becomes a bestseller. It captures the mood of the country. And then he rides that wave straight into Trump's inner circle.
Right.
That's some Machiavellian shit right there.
Yeah. It's definitely strategic.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
He won his Senate race in Ohio, a state that Trump also won twice.
Right.
And now he's a heartbeat away from the presidency.
It's a hell of a story. But it makes you wonder about Vance's authenticity. Was he always a Trumpian in disguise?
Yeah.
Just waiting for the right moment to pounce?
Yeah.
Or did he actually, change his mind. It's like trying to figure out if a used car salesman is being honest.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, and only J.D. Vance knows the answer.
We can't crawl inside his head. But we can look at his actions and his words, right?
Yeah.
And, well, those paint a picture that's about as clear as mud.
On one hand, he's lived through poverty and addiction. He's seen firsthand the damage done by factory closures.
Right.
He knows the fears that are fueling movements like Trumpism.
But on the other hand, he's a Yale-educated lawyer who made a shit ton of money off of a book that many people see as exploitative and simplistic. He's backed policies that haven't really helped the people he claims to represent.
Yeah.
And he's joined forces with a guy that many people see as divisive and dangerous.
Yeah.
It's like he's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde rolled into one.
It's a paradox.
Yeah.
A contradiction. And it reflects the larger divisions in America, right? The clash between those who feel left behind and those who benefit from the system.
Right.
The struggle to reconcile old values with a rapidly changing world.
And J.D. Vance is stuck right in the middle of it all, like a fly caught in a spider web.
He's become a symbol, a lightning rod, a figure who both reflects and refracts the anxieties of our time.
It's almost like he's living out his own book, right?
Right.
Grappling with the same questions about identity, belonging, and the American dream.
Yeah.
Only difference is he's doing it on a national stage with millions of people watching.
And the story's far from over.
Right.
Who knows what the future holds for J.D. Vance, the Republican Party, or the country as a whole. But one thing is certain, it's going to be a wild ride.
All right, you magnificent bastards. Before we get too deep into this political shitstorm, let's take a step back and talk about the elephant in the room. Or maybe it's a donkey. Who the hell knows these days?
Right.
Is Hillbilly Elegy even a good book? Or is it just a pile of bullshit wrapped in a fancy cover?
That's the question.
We'll tackle that thorny question and try to make some sense of this whole mess in part 3, so stick around, you beautiful degenerates. The fun's just getting started. All right, you beautiful degenerates, welcome back to the shit show. We've been knee-deep in Hillbilly Elegy, dissecting its themes like a frog in a high school biology class.
It's been a journey.
We've explored Vance's, whole journey from Appalachian kid to potential VP.
Yeah.
All while trying to figure out if the guy is a genuine voice for the forgotten folks.
Right.
Or just another power-hungry asshat climbing the greasy pole.
It's a tough one.
We've also waded through a mountain of criticism.
Yeah.
A lot of folks, especially those from Appalachia, feeling like Vance basically threw them under the bus.
Yeah.
Using their struggles to line his own pockets
Ah.
and boost his career.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, he turned their lives into some kind of poverty porn
Yeah.
for the coastal elites to gawk at
Yeah.
while sipping their lattes and feeling smugly superior.
That's a harsh assessment.
Yeah.
But it reflects a valid concern. Can one person's story,
Right.
even one as well-written and compelling as Hillbilly Elegy, truly represent the complexities of a whole region and its people? It's like trying to sum up the entire history of rock and roll with a Nickelback song.
Exactly. So that brings us back to the big question. Is J.D. Vance a reliable narrator?
Right.
Or is he just spinning a yarn that suits his own agenda?
I mean, memoirs are inherently subjective, right? They're filtered through the author's own experiences and biases.
Right.
It's like looking at the world through a pair of beer goggles.
So we should take everything Vance says with a grain of salt. Maybe a whole damn salt lick?
I think that's wise. We can appreciate the power of his story.
Right.
The insights he offers into a particular slice of American life.
Yeah.
Without necessarily swallowing his conclusions whole.
Okay. It's like, okay, so his family was messed up. His community was struggling. But that doesn't mean everyone in Appalachia is a drug-addled, welfare-abusing, Trump-loving stereotype. It's like judging all Italians by watching The Sopranos.
Exactly. There's a danger in overgeneralizing from a single narrative.
Right.
However compelling it may be.
So where does that leave us? What's the takeaway from Hillbilly Elegy and its legacy now that the author's, a heartbeat away from the most powerful position in the world? It's like the trailer park kid who won the lottery and is now hanging out with billionaires.
I think the book serves as a valuable reminder that America is a diverse
Yeah.
and complicated place,
Yeah.
full of different experiences and perspectives. It's
Right.
like a giant messy buffet where you've got everything from filet mignon to fried squirrel.
It forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about poverty, addiction, the cultural divides that are, tearing our country apart like a pack of rabid dogs fighting over a bone.
But it also challenges us to go beyond the stereotypes, right?
Yeah.
To actually listen to the voices of those who are often marginalized
Right.
and misrepresented, to see the humanity in those who may seem different from us.
So it's not about agreeing with everything Vance says or endorsing his political views. It's about, you know, engaging with the issues he raises, the questions he poses,
Yeah.
and kind of grappling with our own beliefs and biases.
Exactly. It's about having those tough conversations, about stepping outside of our echo chambers and trying to understand the world from different
It's
perspectives.
like trying on someone else's shoes, even if they're, a few sizes too small and smell like feet.
Precisely. And that's what makes Hillbilly Elegy, for all its flaws and controversies, a book worth reading, a story worth pondering, a conversation worth having.
Well said. So there you have it, you magnificent bastards. Hillbilly Elegy. A messed-up family portrait, a controversial take on poverty, a surprise political bestseller, and a launchpad to power for its author. It's a story that's both deeply personal and profoundly political. One that continues to piss people off and spark debate years after its publication. Think about it, and we'll get you on the flip side.